Hello everyone, welcome back to the session of English. In this session, we are going to continue with our topic comprehension ability. Now, this is part 15. In this session, what we are going to discuss, let us see. In this session, we are going to discuss passage number 18. In this session, we will discuss passage number 18 and the questions based on passages with solutions. It means in this session, we are going to discuss several questions which are according to the passage, or you can say that they can be inferred from the passage given to us. And we have also the solutions of these questions, and also we are going to discuss each and every question with the entire explanation so that you can understand the passage as well as the questions. Now, in case of examination, we have two choices. Either we can go through the passage first and after that we'll start solving the questions, or we can directly go to the questions and from the questions only we can read the entire passage. But it is only up to you. If you have enough time, you can first read the passage. In fact, you should read the passage first carefully, and after that start solving the questions. That will be very very easy for you all, and you can easily find out the answers because you know actually the theme of the passage. Moreover, if you go to the questions first and after that you are selecting the questions from the passages, or you are trying to infer the passages, you are trying to infer the questions according to the passage, that will be also very easy. But here in this session, we will just read the passage completely first, and after that we'll go to the questions. Okay, so let's start the passage. Now, this one is passage number 18. So here we have been given the question number 1. But before reading the question, we'll go to the passage first. The political system always dominates the entire social scene. And hence, those who wield political power means run political power or use political power, are generally able to control all different social subsystems and manipulate them to their own advantage. The social groups in power, therefore, have always manipulated the education systems, especially when these happen to depend upon the state for their very existence. It means for their existence, to strengthen and perpetuate their own privileged position. Perpetuate means to remain constant or to remain for a long time, okay, or to continue for a long time. So to strengthen, to make them more strong, as well as perpetuate, it means to remain in the same side, their own privileged position. But herein lies a contradiction. But there is a contradiction. For the very realization of their selfish ends, the social groups in power are compelled to extend the benefits of these educational systems to the underprivileged groups also. The inevitable means unavoidable task is generally performed with 3 precautions abundantly taken care of. A. The privileged groups continue to be the principal beneficiaries of the educational system, dominate the higher stages of education, or the hardcore of prestigious and quality institutions, or the most useful of courses, so as to their dominant position of leadership in a walks of life. It means privileged groups of education, they continue to fetch the benefits and they try to dominate the unprivileged society. The system is so operated that underprivileged groups can utilize it marginally in real terms. Marginally means not meaningfully, you can say. It means it is just utilizing the system in a very inorder way or in very irregular way. It means they are not actually utilizing the system according to their requirements. And the bulk of them means many of them, become either dropouts or pushouts and get reconciled to their own interior status in society. Reconciled to their, it means they have to tolerate their own interior status. It means their own status. They have to reconcile, they have to tolerate all that, and they will become dropouts or pushouts. Dropouts means when, suppose you are in your graduation, you are doing your graduation, and you have dropped out some years, and after that, from that particular course, and after that you want to continue with that graduation, or you can do post graduation, and there is gap in between. So that will definitely affect your career or your future. So that is actually to be a dropout or the push out. It means you abandon the course, or you just stop being in that course which you were pursuing. So the few from the weaker sections that survive and succeed in spite of all handicaps. The few, it means only some, or a low number of from the weaker sections that survive. We are talking about those people who survive in these problems as well, these situations as well. In spite of these obstacles, they survive. Okay, they remain in the same field, are generally co-opted within this society to prevent dissatisfaction. But education is essentially a liberating force, so that as time passes, some underprivileged groups to manage to become aware of reality, the number of educated persons soon become too large to be fully co-opted. And many able individuals among them strive to organize and liberate the weak and underprivileged. Now, what happens? The few who survive in spite of these handicaps or these obstacles as well, when they try to liberate the oppressed, or you can say to free the oppressed, or to help those oppressed. It means one who are weaker, they were not able to do something well, which they deserved or which they could, they were not able to do or perform well in their education system or in their life. Those who have faced all such situations, but now they are succeed. So what they did, what they do, they just help them, or just you can say hold them to make them develop. Okay, to develop them, so they work for them. Okay, so for the underprivileged, the resultant awareness of the people combined with suitable organization necessarily leads to adjustment in the social structure and to an increase in vertical mobility, so that the new groups begin to share power. Mobility means, vertical mobility means they also maintain the hierarchy, they also go beyond, they also align themselves. Okay, in to share power. Eventually, it means as a result of other social changes also follow, and traditional inegalitarian and hierarchical social structure tends to be replaced by another which is more modern, less hierarchical, and more egalitarian. Egalitarian means which promotes equality, and inegalitarian refers to something which promotes inequality. So egalitarian or egalitarian or inegalitarian, these both are opposites to each other. Now, the educational system therefore is never politically neutral, and it is always performs three functions. It always performs three functions simultaneously, with it helps the privileged to dominate, domesticates the underprivileged to their own status in society, and also tends to liberate the oppressed. Which of these functions shall dominate and what extent depend mostly on one crucial factor, that is the quality and quantity of the political education which the system provides, or upon its political content. The developments in Indian society, polity, and education during the past 175 years should be viewed against the background of the broad philosophy. From very ancient times, the Indian society has been elitist, and power, wealth, and education were mostly confined to the upper castes of the society. What is important to note is that the system has an infinite capacity to adjust or to absorb, and for that very reason, it is extremely resistant to any radical transformation or any extreme change. The social system continued to exist almost unchanged till the British administrators began to lay the foundation of the modern. So this is the passage on, according to me, this is passage based on education and the political environment that is suffered by privileged and underprivileged people. Okay, or the society. Now let us see the questions. So the first question is, which of the following statements is not true in the context of the passage? So we are asking about the false statement. Not true means they are asking about the false statement according to the passage. Now let us see the options first. The privileged groups try to deprive the have-nots of the real benefits of education. So we are talking about the privileged groups try to deprive the have-nots of real benefits of education. The education system is never politically biased. It means they are saying that education system was neutral and there was no that is not politically biased. But here in this paragraph or in this passage, we have learned about the education system which has been provided to the privileged and the underprivileged one, where privileged where privileged ones, they get more facilities and they get more benefits, whereas the underprivileged, they do not get the benefits as compared to those of privileged. So if we see this line, the education system therefore is never politically neutral, whereas we know that they were politically biased. So here in this B, the education system is never politically biased. So this is not true according to the context of the passage. Therefore, we got the answer that B statement is correct. Now, we should read the other statements as well to see whether they are correct or not. The privileged groups try to deprive the have-nots of the real benefits of education. Now, if we see the first line of A, the privileged groups continue to be the principal beneficiaries of educational system, dominate the higher stages of education, and hardcore of prestigious and quality institutions or the most useful of courses, so as to their dominant position of leadership in a walks of life. Whereas here it is written the privileged groups try to deprive the have-nots of the real benefits of the education. No, it is not true. So this statement, this statement is privileged groups try to deprive the have-nots of the real benefits of education. Have-nots means they do not do this. Yes, they get the benefits, they are not deprived by them. Therefore, this statement is verified. Whereas the second statement is false. Third one, educational system tends to enlighten the minds of underprivileged. Okay, tends to enlighten. No, educational system, they you can say that according to this situation which is given over here, the education system therefore is never politically biased and is always perform three functions: domesticates the underprivileged to their own status, and also tends to liberate oppressed, which of these functions shall dominate the what extent depend mostly on the crucial factor, that is the quality and quantity of political education which system provides or upon its political content. So obviously from this we know that the education system, it does not support underprivileged one. Also, if we see over here, the system is so operated that underprivileged groups cannot utilize it, only utilize it marginally. So this line and also some other lines which we can see, for the very realization of this selfish ends, the social groups in power are compelled to extend the benefits of these educational system to the unprivileged groups also. Okay, so from these lines or from these paragraphs, we can infer that the C line is not correct. The privileged class depends upon the government of their survival. Government for their survival? No, it is not. So here only B statement is not correct. Therefore, B is the correct answer. Okay, because they are asking about the not true statement, and that is B. Because yes, education system is politically biased as they give the benefits to the privileged class and not to the unprivileged class. Now let us move to the next one. Now this one is question number 2. Now let us read question number 2. Is according to the passage, the Indian society has always been. Now the options are politically neutral, whereas in this we have discussed the educational system therefore is never politically neutral. It means this cannot be the answer. Okay, because they are saying that it is always politically neutral. So A cannot be the answer. Insensitive to the needs of elite groups. Now, the Indian society has always been elitist in power, wealth and education were mostly confined means limited, to the upper castes of society, whereas it is written insensitive to the needs of allied groups. Conscious about the sufferings of underprivileged? No, because they only talked about elitist class or Indian society always, you can say, uh, give the benefits to the privileged sections. Okay, the privileged groups continue to the principal beneficiaries of the educational system. It means the C part is also incorrect. So here the answer will be D, that is none of these, because any of these lines is not according to the education system. It means the correct answer is the Indian society has always been elitist, and power, wealth, and education were mostly confined to the upper caste of the society. What is important to note that the system has an infinite capacity to adjust or absorb, and for that very reason, it is extremely resistant to any radical transformation. It means none of these lines is correct. So our answer is D, that is none of these. Okay, because we can see opposite of all these three lines in the passage itself. Okay, now let us move to the another question. The another question is, which of the following is the most opposite in meaning to the word radical as used in the passage? Now you can see the word radical over here. It is radical transformation. Okay, so the opposite: superficial, simple, slow, and narrow. So radical means when something is beyond something, or when something is beyond or extreme, when something is very very much, or when something is extreme even to the excess of something. So that is radical. And superficial, when we do not go in deep thinking, not in deep. For example, if I say superficial learning, that is fake, because superficial is just learning the things from the above part, not going deep through it. So its answer is A, that is superficial. So radical means extremeness of something, and superficial means to the limited part only. So superficial is the correct answer, not in deep. Okay, or not too deep. So radical and superficial are the opposites of each other. Other words like simple, slow, and narrow, you cannot say narrow, because radical is generally used for something which is when we are going beyond something, whereas narrow means just only the a limited gap. And superficial, when we go deep into the knowledge, and when we do not go deep into the knowledge, that is superficial. Now let us move to the next one. Here the question is, how does education work for ameliorating the lot of underprivileged classes? Ameliorating means improve. Okay, to make something better. Okay, ameliorate means to make something better. It encourages them to domesticate the privileged people. Now, how does education work for ameliorating the lot of underprivileged classes? It helps underprivileged people to dominate others. Some educated persons from this class organize and liberate the weak people. It helps them to achieve their higher goals. Now, if you see this, yes, this part, and now these two paragraphs, let us read them again. The few from the weaker sections. Few from the weaker sections means some of from the weaker sections means underprivileged class that survive and succeed in spite of all the handicaps are generally co-opted by within the system to prevent dissatisfaction. But education is essentially a liberating force, so that as time passes, some underprivileged groups do manage to become aware of the reality. The number of educated persons soon becomes too large to be fully co-opted. And many able individuals, this is individuals, not individuals. Okay, this is written incorrect over here. It should be individuals. Among them strive to organize and liberate the weak and the underprivileged one. Now the people from this section only, because they become successful, they become successful. What they do, they just support the those who are weaker and of the underprivileged society. They help them, they try to domesticate them, and they try to liberate the oppressed, or you can say free the oppressed. It means they try to help them. Okay, so they try to make improvements in their society, or they try to ameliorate. Okay, so in this question, this now the answer is very easy. Domesticate the privileged people? No, they are not trying to domesticate the privileged people. In fact, education system, it domesticate the underprivileged society, and it helps it's some educated persons from this class. Okay, some here as it is written, the few from the weaker section. So it means some educated persons from this class organize and liberate the weak people. As you can see over here as well, they liberate the weak and the underprivileged people. So this will be the correct answer according to the third last paragraph, that is C option. Okay, so C answer is the C option. C is absolutely correct answer. Now let us move to the next question. The next question is, in the context of the passage, which of the following statements is true? Those who control political power. Okay, so they are asking about the true statements regarding those who control political power. So here the options are: they facilitate the upward mobility of underprivileged classes. They try to establish a just social order. They facilitate the upward mobility of the privileged class. They try to control the different social subsystems. Now, in the context of the passage, which of the following statements is true regarding those who control political power? Okay, so first let us see, or let us look for this keyword, that is control political power. Okay, so we have to look for these three keywords. Okay, for the keywords control political power. Now let us see in the starting of the paragraph: the political system always dominates the entire social scene, and hence those who wield political power, wield means use political power, are generally able to control all the different social subsystems. Okay, it is TIFFERENT. Okay, so this is written wrong over here. The spelling is TIFFERENT. Maybe this is a typing error. Subsocial systems and manipulate them to their own advantage. The social groups in power, therefore, have always manipulated the education systems, especially when these happen to depend upon the state for their very existence. Now, able to control all the different social subsystems. Now, social subsystems means social low, not the subsystems means low in quality, okay, or of low status. They facilitate upward mobility of the underprivileged class. Also, if you remember this, now look at this one. Vertically upward, we have seen the word over there as well. Now let us look for this. Okay, now let us see the first one. They facilitate the upward mobility of the underprivileged class, and they are asking about the true regarding those who control political power. They try to establish a social order. They facilitate the upward mobility of the privileged class, or they try to control all different social subsystems. Well, the D option is correct for me, but let us see another one as well. Let us look for this word, that is upward mobility, and we know that we have read this word in this as well. So the resultant awareness of the people combined with suitable organization necessarily leads to adjustment in the social structure of an increased in vertical mobility, so that new groups begin to share power. So according to this, only the D option should be correct. So answer is D, because they are talking about facilitate the upward mobility of the underprivileged class, whereas it is written over here, but it is not about the control of it. Okay, so to control it, only the last option is correct, that they try to control all the different social subsystems, as it is given in the first line, all the different social subsystems. This is simple, able to control. This is directly given in the passage, so this is the correct answer. So answer is D. Now let us move to the next question. Now this is sharing of power by new groups is an outcome of. Now we have just read this line as well. Now as you can see over here, the resultant awareness of the people combined with suitable organization necessarily leads to adjustment in the social structure, to an increase in vertical mobility, so that the new groups begin to share power. Okay, so increase in vertical mobility of the underprivileged groups, a liberal democratic approach of the privileged class, a total replacement of the traditional social structure by a modern one, or a politically neutral educational system. Okay, sharing power by new groups is an outcome of. Uh, Now let us read this line again as it is given. The education system, therefore, is never politically neutral, and it always performs three functions simultaneously. It has the privilege to dominate, domesticate the underprivileged. Okay. Let us see the options again. Sharing of power by new groups is an outcome of increase in the vertical mobility of the underprivileged groups. The resultant awareness of the people combined with suitable organization necessarily leads to adjustment in the social structure to an increase in vertical mobility. Okay. A liberal democratic approach of the privileged class now. The total replacement of traditional structure. Now, if you can see the word as it is. Now, see, here it is written sharing of power by new groups is an outcome of. And we have read all these options. And if you see this increase in the vertical mobility, this we have already read in the passage. As it is written, the resultant awareness of the people combined with suitable organization necessarily leads to adjustment in the social structure and to an increase in vertical mobility so as to so that new groups begin to share power. So simple. The correct answer is A, that is increase in the vertical mobility of the underprivileged groups. This is simply directly given in the passage. So this will be the answer, that is A. Now let us move to the next question. The next question is, according to the passage, why do the majority of underprivileged groups become dropouts? Yes, we have already read this. Now let us see the options. They constantly suffer from the feeling of inferiority. Now let us see this, where this is given. Majority of unprivileged groups become dropouts. And we have learned this word, yes, over here. The system is so operated that the underprivileged groups can utilize it only marginally in real terms, and the bulk of them become either dropouts or the pushouts get reconciled to their own interior status in society. Now, suffer from the feeling of inferiority. The system is so manipulated that they cannot utilize it meaningfully. Yes, here it is written. They cannot utilize it meaningfully. They utilize it marginally, only marginally. As I told you, that which is not meaningfully, that is marginally. So they cannot utilize it meaningfully. So your answer is B, which is given directly again in the passage. They do not possess that the require intellectual potential to survive in the educational system. The privileged class continues to be the major beneficiary of the system. No, the correct answer is B, because it has been only talked about the majority of underprivileged groups become dropouts. So the correct answer will be the system is so manipulated that they cannot utilize it meaningfully. Therefore, B is the correct answer. Now let us move to the next one. So the next question is, according to the passage, the social groups in power have manipulated the education system because they wanted to make it potentially neutral. They wanted to give maximum benefits to the underprivileged. Now, as far as we have learned, we cannot say that they have given the benefits to underprivileged. So, second will not be correct. They wanted to make it politically neutral. They wanted to introduce social changes through the educational system. They wanted to preserve their special status. So, social groups in power have manipulated the educational system. Now, let us see the first. Social groups in power, therefore, have always manipulated the education system, especially when these happen to depend upon the state for their very existence. It means they want only their existence to strengthen and perpetuate their own privileged position. Okay, so here this is the correct answer. Therefore, the correct answer is D. They wanted to preserve their special status. Now the next question, and the question number this is the question number 9. The Indian social system is resistant to major changes because, now as you can see over here, is resistance to radical transformation. So we are reading question for this. So the options are, it is basically elitist, it can absorb social changes without changing its basic framework. It is extremely traditional and conservative. Power, wealth, and education are mostly confined to the upper classes. Confined means limited to the upper classes. So let us read this again. The developments in Indian society, polity, and education during 175 years should be viewed against the background of this bold philosophy. From very ancient times, the Indian society has always been elitist, and power, wealth, and education were mostly confined to the upper castes of the society. So the Indian social system is resistant to major changes. It is extremely resistant to any radical transformation. The social system continued to exist almost unchanged till the British administrators began to lay the foundation of the modern. So, because power, wealth, and education, um, it can absorb social changes without changing its basic framework. So, the correct answer is B. Listen, it is basically elitist. We have already seen this. Okay, it has always been elitist. So, this is the same line. And power, wealth, and education are mostly confined to the upper class, where we are talking about the Indian society has always been. Okay, whereas they are asking about Indian social system. So it is, if we talk about Indian social system, it is written over here. Um, Now let us look for the word Indian social system. Um, it is given in. Now, as we can see, it is written, the Indian social system is resistant to major changes because, so here we can see that any radical transformation or resistant to any radical transformation. It means here we get the keyword. Okay, we got the keyword now. And now we have to look for the actual answer. So we have been given some options as well. Now let us read this entire paragraph again. The developments in Indian society, polity, and education during the past 175 years should be viewed against the background of this broad philosophy. From very ancient times, the Indian society has always been elitist in power. It means it was confined to the upper class, or you can say they were limited to upper caste only. And the education system, the wealth, it is only for those who are powerful and rich. Capacity to adjust or absorb or to absorb, and for that very reason, it is extremely resistant to any radical transformation. So, if we see the B option, it can also absorb social changes without changing its basic framework. Therefore, B is the correct answer. Now, why B, not why A and C? Because it is written in, it is basically elitist, and in C it is written, it is extremely traditional and conservative. And in the fourth, power and wealth, because major changes, because power and wealth and education are mostly confined to the upper class. That was not the reason. The main reason was is important to, what is important to note, that the system has an infinite capacity to adjust or absorb, and for that very reason it is extremely resistant. It is for very that very reason, it means for they have the capacity to adjust or to absorb. Okay, infinite. So here B is the correct answer. It can absorb social changes without changing its basic framework. So this is the actual answer of this question. So our answer is B. Now let us move to the next question. And the next question is, according to the passage, social groups in power extended the benefits of education of the underprivileged groups because they want to achieve their selfish objectives. They want to create an egalitarian society. So they are talking about social groups in power extended the benefits of education to underprivileged groups because they have realized that the growth of a nation depends upon the spread of education. They want to abdicate their dominant position of leadership in walks of life. So we are talking about social groups in power extended the benefits of education. We see this line. Eventually, other social changes follow traditional egalitarian hierarchical social structure tends to replaced by another which is more modern, less hierarchical, and more egalitarian. Okay, so here this can be the correct answer. So our answer will be B. They want to create an egalitarian society. Egalitarian means where which promotes the equality among the people. So that is B. B is the correct answer. Now, I hope you understood each and every question in this passage. This is very interesting paragraph. If you read it carefully, this is very, very interesting and easy. Thanks to you.